Okay, okay. That's better. Let me get my mic right. Peace, peace, peace to the gods. Peace to everyone. This is our excuse me. I'm a little technical difficulties. I'm getting myself together. This is in the circle our in the circle ministries, our virtual YouTube ministry. Um and I'm your host, Rico Blakeney. And what we do is we take things and put them up under the microscope. Um I'm gonna have to check and make sure that my sound is coming through good real quick. Hold on one second, everyone, and I'll get back with you. Give me one second. I'm gonna check one of the other devices I got and see. Take my headset off for a minute just to make sure I can hear well. I'm gonna check on one of these devices. Um, I don't know if the device let me hear myself. Okay, so yeah. Okay, great. Let's start over. Welcome to our In the Circle Ministries, our virtual YouTube channel here. And I'm your host, Rico Blakeney, where we take things on this channel and put them up under a microscope. And with that concept, we're taking things and we're able to make our plural eye single and see things from a higher consciousness, from a single eye. And we're able to see things in the light that they're in. So when you take things and put them up under a microscope, you take your two plural eyes and they become singular. And you're able to see things up under the microscope that you couldn't see from the naked eye. Or a lot of times you can't see your way through problems and situations in life because you're looking at it while you're in the midst of your problems and situations. You're not able to elevate your mind and see the solution or see the end results of your problems of your situation. Excuse me. A lot of time that comes with um, whatever the reasons are. So when you take things up under the microscope, the main components that we preach here is taking your beliefs, your perspectives, and your truth, and putting them up under the microscope and searching things out throughout your life to bring you about a certain outcome. So having experiences to bring about to find out whatever it is that your belief, your truth, or your perspectives, however you may have attained them, are facts or valuable things that are actually what they are and just not beliefs. And beliefs are in the process of becoming facts. And once they become a fact, you can find out if it's something that is true and something that is still true, but the truth in it is a lie, and that lie is the truth. So you have to recognize those truths and decide what truth you want. But taking things and putting them under a microscope, seeing things with your singular eye, and then taking those truths away from what you've seen up under the microscope and applying them to your life and getting the results you want. And I do have um, a title for my What's Up Wednesday show. So this is our What's Up Wednesday show. Later on, I will be going live on TikTok, but I'm doing this now so as I can make this notice on YouTube that I'm on TikTok, or TikTok don't like you referring any of your content to any other channels anywhere else or whatever. But anyway. But this is our What's Up Wednesday show, and all the time we lead off with spirituality because that's what really matters. And so before we get into the topic of the What's Up Wednesday show and what we'll be talking about tonight, um, I'm gonna ask you how have you been doing with your self mastery, and I hope that it all has been well, and hope you're continuously growing in your self mastery, and mastering yourself because you understand now that you are the God of your life, and you are the God that is calling all the shots and creating everything that you see in your own personal life, and that there is no other one to hold responsibility or to pass on responsibility for the life you've created, because it was created off your decision through your thoughts and your energy, and it produced and manifested itself. You said there, let there be, and there was. Even though you might not have known that you said it because you didn't say it in the way of let it be, but the decisions that you made in your mind, when you made that decision, you said let this be the decision that I make, whether fuck it, or this is the best reasonable result, or this is the only options that I see, no matter whatever it is, no matter what those reasons are, you left with let that be, let there be. And whatever that decision is what it was that created the life that you're involved in now. The great news about it is that you can now learn to allow your higher consciousness, your spiritual nature, your God that you've contracted with to perform that which was promised, to give you an expected end. And it says in the Bible that I know the plans that I have for you are planned for you to prosper and not to harm you, but to bring you to an expected end. And that expected end is the results that you want out of your life. What type of life do you want to live? Do you understand real wealth and prosperity and riches and fame, notability and all these other things? Do you know what really matters, or what is really um, worth having in this experience of life? And I may value it from a different way than others, but like I say, this channel is about me and my experiences in it. But it's being 100% comfortable with who you are and what you are, however you want to view that, and um, being totally at peace with that, and also spending time with those that love and can reciprocate that back to you, and those that you value that are yours in your life, in your life circle, and to exemplify who you are wherever you go. So that is real wealth and real experience. Having what I would call accessories in this life, or this journey that we call life. We have these accessories, and so with these accessories in life comes monetary gain, wealth, and all this other stuff that we deal with that we have to accompany us in life. But the true wealth and the true riches is good health, good peace of mind, and being happy, totally content with who you are. Being able to grow is always the goal, but being completely happy and coming to resolve within yourself of who you are. And that is the God of your life. And so you create from that and you go from that. And so in your self mastery, you're allowing your higher consciousness to what's up, brother? How you doing? Glad to see you here, resolution man. Um and thank you for allowing me to know that my audio wasn't working in the last video. Thank you for subscribing and coming to the channel. Um, if you can, let me know if you can hear me clear. I did a couple of tests, and I'm actually streaming on two sites tonight. I'm doing YouTube and TikTok. Just started on TikTok, but thank you for joining, and thank you for being drawn to the channel. Thank you for being who you are in your own personal life, because it led you here. And um, there are things that I feel and know that um, are not are by chance. They're not by chance. They're by design. So whatever that is, looking forward to the journey and experiencing whatever that is that we will continue to grow in through connections with this channel. So thank you, and thank you for letting me know I'm coming loud and clear. Um, yes, sir. No, no, it never happens by chance. No. And so and that's what I was speaking on here. And so I don't know how much of the channel you've watched outside of from our communications the other day, but self mastery, allowing our higher consciousness to take control over our lower conscious, or um, coming to the understanding that you are the creator of everything in your life through your thoughts and your processes, or whatever your thought process is to make you come to the decision making, because the decisions that we make brings the outcomes that we have in our life. They're the decisions that we made, no matter if it's from a relationship situation with you and a partner, or friends, or a business partner, or on the job, or riding down the road, whatever it is. Our life is based off decisions and the decision makers that we have, and they all come through thought. So, um, from my experience, I've always had a higher consciousness and a higher understanding, but at the same time, I've always had um, less clarity about it and less clarity in it and understanding it. But understanding now, hindsight 2020 helped give more clarity into it. Is that I was the author and the creator of my life, and I gave that energy to an outside source, which there is an outside source, I believe, but it's all more so uh, individualized through every individual, if that makes sense. But um, we are consciousness living out experiences in order to gain um, more wisdom through experiences through each every individual. I believe that you are a version of me, and I am a version of you through some shape, form, or fashion, and that that's with everyone. But when it comes to the self mastery, to get back on that subject before we get into um, tonight's topic, and for those on YouTube, this is the What's Up Wednesday show. So on TikTok, it's just a live with a title about the Cestui, secret Cestui private account, and we'll get into that. But anyway, so we deal with our self mastery. We continue to grow within ourselves, and we only have uh, ability, power, and we only have control over ourself in a sense. We don't have the right to change, control, save, or the power to do anything to or for anyone else, because they're God in their own like way and God in their own right. So I am God all by myself, and so are you and everyone else. But within myself, I have to grow into who I am, what I feel or believe is my purpose and my understanding of all of that, and propel myself to that and allow my energy and my thoughts, which create my outcome, be be catered and directed towards things that will propel me, and those things that will not propel me, set them aside or disregard or discard those things and not give it the energy, because it will produce those things. So I have a concept and perspective, which we all have because we were given one from our childhood through our mother and father and everyone else in our life. And we grow up with a perspective, thoughts, and ideals and opinions shaped and molded by those individuals and others and other things that we bring into our kingdom. And we create a life based off those things that are based off our thoughts, which come back to our decision making of what we talked about earlier. Practical mirror image of the creator I am. Not here too distant, but just too. Yes, 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 yes. Good stuff, brother. Good stuff, brother. Absolutely. But so when we do that and grow within ourselves and understand that we only can allow that to happen within ourselves, and we do those things and stay in our place, and as we grow in ourselves, then we see how better we are when we shape our own life. And so that's all it boils down to. Um, Personalizing it and identifying it and dealing with it on an individual basis, that everything we deal with is self-mastery and mastering of ourselves. allowing the higher conscious to bring into flourishing those things that will be. So, um, yeah. And no matter where you at on your self mastery, if you call it self mastery, like I said, that's what we preach and teach here on this channel, or talk about through my experiences. You can whatever you deal with in yourself to manage yourself, the growth in yourself. Just be honest with it. And these are some principles and experiences I've used to bring me to where I'm at in my life today. So go back and watch some of my past videos and catch up on some things and see some other things and different things that I have. Feel free to comment, like, share, um, interact. All that is good. Just have good intention and have a good heart. We don't deal with negativity. You have the right to disagree or to think differently. That's not negative. Just don't present it with hate. Don't present it with malice intent. Because we're all here to learn. So this is what it's about, a growing and learning channel. But I do have a subject matter and a topic we're going to talk about. And here on TikTok and everywhere else, feel free to comment. I do my best to try to keep up with both, but um, I go back through the live and do my best and try to catch up with TikTok later on. But we're talking about the Cestui, what is it? The secret TDA Cestui trust account. So the secret TDA is the Treasury Direct account. That's what they talk about. And it's a bunch of information, knowledges, and processes that that from my understanding, what we do is I go through some of the processes and I do my best to walk you through the process, the understanding, the thought process behind it, and and then at the end we'll see what that comes about. But when I came into the knowledge in 2018, it was a bunch of stuff that was out there, so-called gurus or people with information about processes, how to live what I come to know now as a private life or being a private individual, and living your life separate from government um interference in a sense, and understanding the public and understanding that everything in the public works off of commerce, and everything's a corporation, and it is a whole different atmosphere and a realm, but it mimics the private. And so that when I got into it, it was because of seeing some things weren't right in the system, although I've already seen some things wasn't right in the system, but knowing what and how to do, or if there was anything to do about, getting away from the system without becoming a full Jewish or Amish person, or getting so far off the grid that I would have to um, get rid of some of the amenities of life that we have, and go to a more rugged and raggedy life, which I've lived before. Coming up, we was homeless and stayed in some rough born houses. That's what they were called, some real shacks. But wasn't going back to that. But learning, studying, and learning different processes from different individuals. I will not name any individuals on the air. If I talk about anything, and if you've ever spent money or set up under them or learned some teaching from them, then it may be sounding familiar to you. So you just, keep that to yourself as well. So we're just speaking about information, and not individuals in a sense. So with that whole process, I think it was a book called Cracking the Code, uh, Cracking the Code, Volume 3, 2, a couple of volumes of Cracking the Code. And it was a process that was actually being proven, and you have what they would say um, case law that speaks about the corporation and how everything else is separated, and that you're not going to find no solid evidence in a sense about the straw man, what they call it. So if you look up straw man and look up anything in the public with it, you're going to find out about straw man filing, sovereign citizens, and you're going to hear a bunch of negative things. And any of that stuff that you read or you see anything that's actually published by the government or by your state, um, what's the other thing they call it? It's given down from the federal government and it's passed down to states and to your local county recorders about certain things. Like if you try to do a UCC1 lien on yourself, a straw man felon in South Carolina, they said that's not something that they accept. So you can't do a straw man filing in South Carolina. That's like I said, they phrase it as straw man filing. But um it's a slip my mind what the technical word is or the word that they actually do, but it's really just policies and procedures that they're giving down. It's not law. It's not nothing passing to law, positive or positive law, none of no laws. It's just a way that they should handle and procedures to what to do when they're faced with certain type of individuals or these type of individuals they talked about. But the process started too with that and Minnesota Rule 220. Um, the minor account, it started with that and a maritime law and common law with the other things that we're teaching and talking about. But all of this is wrapped up into the whole concept of um, how you come into get into this Treasury Direct account and be able to access the money that is supposedly be your money because it's in a Cestui trust that is the straw man or the dummy corporation that's created after you give the hospital your information and you give them a certificate of live birth, or you fill out the information on the form, the application basically on the form, and they turn it into your local DHEC or whatever they call it in your state, and they create the birth certificate, which is created on bond paper, which is a legitimate bond that is traded, but tracking it down, proving that is a different subject in a different show. But so an account is created, a trust is created, and the surety for the trust or the surety for the trust is the individual. So your mom's my mom created a birth certificate when she gave them the information on the application at the hospital, gave them all my information, gave them all my dad's information, all her information, and they were informants. That's the way it was written up on the paperwork. So your parent, like same way when you get a death certificate and you fill out the paperwork for the death certificate, you are informants. I don't know if those are still the exact words they may use, and I know they use it in South Carolina. I don't know if that what they use statewide, but you are informants. And they're taking that information and creating this citizenship, this federally and state given citizenship. That citizenship belongs to that corporation that was created or that trust that was created and is identified on your birth certificate in all caps. And with that, you go get the social security number. So now you have the trust and the trust account. And now you have an account number, which is social security number. And everything that this trust does is attached to this account number. No matter what it does, wherever it goes into society, they're asking for that social. DMV, uh, you can go get your lights and water cut on, apply for a job, apply for a credit card, go get a car, get a state ID or just an ID without not a driver license or a permit. Anything that you're gonna deal with, you're gonna get that number, and it's gonna be tracked, and it's gonna be associated with it. The same way to do if you was to get you a business and you start doing business, you're gonna use that EIN number with the name. Whatever name you created, that corporation you created would always be in all caps. And the EIN number is the social security number for that or that account number for that. And every time it does business, it will use that for taxes or for whatever else it does, banking, everything else, same way you do with your social. So they're used with the same format and same principle. Um, Got to see a lot of people join. I don't see no coming. I see some hearts, and thank you everybody on TikTok that come through and join or done whatever. Encouraging your viewers to share your live and invite others. Yeah, they say encourage y'all to share it on TikTok and invite others to come in would be a good thing to do. So thank you for doing that as well. But so um that is the basis of it. Um of what really what's going on and um of that's how you do business. So 1930, 33, Roosevelt, the recession, HJR 192 talks about the Gold Rescission Act, where all the people turned in their gold and they pledged off all the future labor and the mortgages and the land of the people for the debt that they had just acquired to get them out of debt. You and the one story about people. And I have to come back to check that out later on, Brother Resolution. If anyone else reads it in the comment, check out what he's saying. So, um, that's just the way the system works, and that's how it works. And so the that with the HAR 192, you have to watch some of my other previous videos. I'm just giving you the gist and the premise of it. So this will be familiar to people that may know, for those that may not know when you're getting into it, or if you have entered into it, it will be familiar to you and you know what you're up against. I'm not you have to stick around for the end of the video to get the spoiler alert to find out what's going on at the end after we get finished talking about all this information. Um, and the processes and some of the procedures to go through and end results, etc., etc. But that is the way it is set up. And yes, the government creates that trust. They create that trust through volunteeritis, and you volunteer to enter into that system. You volunteer to get the birth certificate because you don't have to do that. There's other ways to get your recording. When I was younger, and I knew that, and I'm 48 now, and the people before me, they always had a Bible for their record. Even when they didn't cut my hair for a while when I was a baby, until well after I was 2 years old. And when they did cut it, they cut a couple of braids and they put it in the Bible. The same way they put certain blessings, financial blessings that they was looking for, they planted that seed and put it in their Bible. The good wishes and prayers and thoughts that they have for the individuals, they put it in that Bible. So there's power in that if you catch what I'm saying. And how you handle yourself and govern yourself as God, and you handle yourself in paperwork as well. We'll get into that later. When you go before the government, go before anyone else, you go before God, there's benefits for that as well. So, but um and you can have your own birth certificates written up for your kids, and you still can get and have all these other things that you would need to have your child to interact in society without having any prejudice shown against them. It just don't have to be that citizenship that we talked about that was created, because it's federally created on their paper, created in their captions. The GPO style manual, get involved with that, study that, read into that. Um, you know, there's more information there with the styling of and how the government is. It tells you plain and day how they're supposed to do things and what their stuff does. And it's basically giving you the information on what everything means in that world. So understanding that corporate world, that language, and speaking that language helps you. But anyway, um, so going through that and understanding that they created that trust and they created those entities. Um, you have to understand trust law is that if you're not the grantor or the settler or the one that's setting up the trust, and depending on how the trust indenture is written, in business, it's called the the articles of incorporation. Churches is called bylaws. On jobs and in states, they're called policies and they're called procedures. And so same thing. It's going to be what guides and what governs the actions of this entity or whatever this entity is to represent. So people come into that knowledge and came into that understanding just as well as I did, and it made sense. Did my own research, and a lot of the teachings that's out there, the reason I'm giving this video to say the teachings are flawed, where people have sleight the hand and brought their own thing in. The same thing you may have with interpretations from religions and other things. You're going to have people's interpretations, and the interpretation came from another interpretation when it was translated or whatever. And anyway, you're not at the original, but people sell and get it's things that I bought and sold some shit. I mean, I ain't sell none, but I bought some stuff that wasn't actually right and that wasn't up to par. I was able to eat the meat and spit out the bone. I've always had a learning experience in everything that I participated in, but a lot of the stuff that sounded good and made sense only sounded good and made sense because I was seeing it from a certain place in my position that I was in, trying to get out of a situation. To come to find out, there was no quick fix to the situation, but there was a fix, and I took care of it. But um, learning to discharge debt. So people were saying you can discharge your mortgage, you can discharge your credit, you can discharge your automobile, you can discharge your bills and everything because it's prepaid because of the HER 192 and the gold rescission thing we were talking about earlier, and that the government has pledged all that stuff and they took our gold and in return, then we have an exemption. We have the right to do that. There's a process to do it. And so the secret TDA account, the Treasury Direct account, and this whole teaching about this, the Cestui trust. And Cestui trust is just a beneficiary trust. So it's just basically any damn trust that's created, because every trust that's created has to be created for the benefit of a beneficiary, no matter whatever trust it is. If it's a medical trust, if it's a handicap trust, if it's a family trust, if it's an express trust, if it's a holding trust, if it's a remic trust, whatever the trust may be, irrevocable, revocable. I teach and I only believe in irrevocable, but no matter what it may be, that's all sesquique means. It's just a fancy Latin word, Greek word for beneficiary trust, and they've changed it and updated it to mean basically just a trust. So people was learning that, and the Minnesota Rule 220 is something else they were adding in. I was saying their interpretation because they had things about a minor account. When you deal with maritime law and minor account, they go talking about a minor account. And you're dealing with accounts and you go to get into negotiable instruments, bonds, promissory note, all the things that the public deals with, the money and everything else, or not the money, but the actual currency that we have flowing through now is Federal Reserve notes, promissory notes, and things of that nature. Um, that could kind of where people get lost at, or where I was even get confused at and understanding it to mean something. But when I studied it more, is that it had nothing to do with like minor accounts, where you put an account for your kid or someone that's under the age of 18, and they can reap benefits from that account once they become 18, and they become beneficiaries of that. And if they choose to become over that account, then they can. Yeah, they can take ownership because they've reached the age of majority or the age of maturity, or you've brought that bond or that note to its lifespan, to the age of 18 or the age of 25 or the age of 30, however the long the life of the bond is. But to the age of majority or the age of maturity, once you became 18, then you can make those claims and you can get those things that were set up for other people. And that was in Minnesota dealing with gold mining and claims that was people was saving money and putting money and hiding money by putting them in these claims for their kids, these minor accounts. They were real gold miners. It wasn't just because of the age of 18 being minors, but this is when that came into play. And to do that, um, the birth certificate was tied up in it as well because it was considered to be a bond instrument. And at the age of 18, it reaches a certain level. Because they say that if you calculate up the way that the future labor of a person and an individual in America, the way it done, when we were talking about earlier that they pledge the future labor and the mortgages, it's true. You go read that into um and go watch some of my other videos. That's what you do. And also search yourself about it and read into the publications of it. And it'll tell you all those things that pledge the future labor and the mortgages of the land. And so your future labor is so-called value off of your family, your bloodline, and your social. Like I said, that all capped name of that trust and every other trust that's attached to it will be your kids that you attach to that you sign through way of birth certificate, with your social and all this other stuff when you apply for their social. You bring them up under that umbrella, but they value that off the history of your family and the money that you make. And so they say when it's traded on the stock markets, like I'm saying, this is all something that is supposedly true. I haven't laid my eyes on the evidence or whatever. Give me 1 second. Yeah, call her back. A business call. But once you do that, um, you at the age of maturity, you can claim that. Oh, they were saying that it said that. Like I said, I don't have factual facts of it, but this is the logic and the theory behind it. That it's traded on the stock market at that value. That's how that bond gets its value based off of your family. Say if your family's had 3 or 4 doctors or 3 or 4 lawyers, no matter what kind of doctor it may be, then that trust account and the proceeds or the things that come from up under that are liable to be value higher because they're going to produce and put more back into the system. So your father's a carpenter or whatever. If nobody in your family never really produced a lot of things, and so it's a low value bond. So if you deal with mortgages and things like that, it's like a high risk and a low risk mortgage. Somebody with bad credit and jacked up credit is nothing pleasing to those that want to get promised to pay later. But so that concept was with that and how the birth certificate is converted, and we're all are treated like cattle or chatter paper. And this is the other stuff you can find out that is true. Like I say, so we're all chatter paper, and we're traded on the stock market and values that way. And so the concept and thought was that was taught behind it was you get your birth certificate and you get it authenticated. You take Minnesota Rule 220 and authenticating that birth certificate. That is how they use to prove that you was the claim holder of that minor account and that you reached the age of maturity and your birth certificate can say that it's me. This is the same person. Give me my claim. I have these gold. I have these reserves, or I have the mining rights of this property, and I can mine gold here because this is mine. So getting it authenticated, the thought process behind it is that anything authenticated makes it original. And if you have the original in your hand and you've created and went got the original authenticated, or you get your birth certificate, get a copy of your birth certificate, get it authenticated on the state and federal level. You get it authenticated and you get it authenticated to a non-Hagar convention country. And once you do that, you've taken ownership and you've taken it out of the jurisdiction of the government. And you've taken it out of the jurisdiction of the citizenship of the United States Corporation. Not the Republic, United States of America, but the citizenship. And you're going to take control over that straw man. And after you take control over that straw man, you're going to take that authenticated birth certificate and you're going to do your UCC and get your authenticated UCC with the straw man and create your bond. And you're going to have value with that bond by putting all of your collateral on there in your security agreement, all the things it's going to take for you to do your UCC. or to have the UCC done, you got to have security agreements. You got to have um, um, a bunch of things that would go with you creating the UCC one lien and showing that you are the secured party over the debtor and that the debtor is insolvent and everything now from the debtor, you've taken over his insolvency. You've brought him out of bankruptcy in a sense, or you've brought him out of a place of insolvency financially, and he's pledged all his assets to you. He's pledged all of his belongings to you, and because you're going to financially take care of him, he's now going to be able to live a life and not have to worry about it because the secured party has it, and he has that lien. So you do that, you get it authenticated, you have ownership, and you're going to get a UCC lien on that based off of the bond, which is based and precipitated off of the birth certificate and your ownership of it. So you take those things and you do those things, and they call that capturing the straw man. Now you've captured the straw man, you've done these things, and now you can tap into that account using that same social security number. And the process of going through that, I won't put too much on the airway because I don't want to spread too much misinformation. But just in saying what the thought process was, or the process was, is that you do that, and there are certain ways you can go through and send in that bond to the Secretary of Treasury with a copy of that UCC one and showing that you have that. Now you can create your own negotiable instruments in a sense, and you can discharge your debt, your mortgage, and you can do all these other things by using that TDA account. You're going to draw money out of that TDA account and pay off those bills. So everyone that I know or heard of that's ever touched that TDA account has landed their ass in jail because it's all fraud. So that's what it ends up to. And the reason why it's all fraud and what you have to understand about it is what I talked about earlier is trust law. And to understand you cannot take ownership over no one else's stuff. That birth certificate, that's theirs. That's not yours. It is a carbon copy, or if it fictitious copy or a straw man copy, what they use to identify you in this world or this realm of commercial or commerce. Where you do business, this is how they identify you for tax purposes only. And so that's the way that works. And so um doing all those other things, you can't take ownership of it. And when you take it out of that the done hag and you actually go and authenticate it, like I said, I'm talking about experiences that I'm done and come to the conclusion of this is why I'm speaking from my experiences and why it's no damn good. But you take it over there, it's only good for that country. And it only going to authenticate and prove that you are still that U.S. federally state citizen. That is it. Not that you have control over it, or none of that other shit. You can have the address sit over there and all that other stuff and act. And what it was also teaching too, to go get you the foreign address and you create a foreign account, and you're gonna send everything over through tax paperwork, and you're gonna put in these tax forms. And what they're gonna do is allow you to send everything over fiduciary to that trust, and you actually now gonna start taking over that trust, and you're going to start handling the affairs of that trust and operating with that trust that you didn't create. You only the beneficiary. You only can get privileges and benefits, Medicaid, Social Security, the right and the privilege to pay taxes and other things. You only get certain benefits from that. That's the only thing about that account. You didn't write it. You didn't create it. You wasn't a part of the indenture, trust indenture. You wasn't a part of the Articles of Confederation. You wasn't a part of the bylaws. And the making of those, you're just going to be one that has to follow up under. So the beneficiary has no power, no control. I can create a trust now in any one of my daughter's names and open a bank account using her name. Hell, if I use the social, She still can't go in there and do anything from that account. She can't go in there. She's not an authorized user. Then she can't go in there and deposit or withdraw. She can only receive from it. If I got her as a beneficiary to be a monthly recipient of some funds or weekly, however I done it. That's all she can do. And take that check somewhere and cash it, you know. But she can't come in here and change any operation of the trust. And that's what most people don't understand. And so they're caught into the illusion of all of it's yours. And so here's the thing. When you're dealing with that, none of it's yours no more. It belongs to the state. You registered your home, your mortgage is registered, belongs to the state. The land and the record of the land will always be recorded in there from owner to owner, but they're all or occupant to occupant or tenant to tenant, the way they will put it, will be labeled and put in there and recorded. Your vehicle, same way. Whatever else you get, yourself, the scroll man, you yourself. When you get your ID card or do whatever, it's gonna identify you. It's gonna be registered to the state to an address with a federal mailbox that brings about their jurisdiction and everything else. But anything that you get or anything that you attain, you've given it back. That's what the registering is. It's giving back to them. It's giving back your children, your car, your house, everything. It's all given back. So it doesn't belong to you because it was giving away. And you just get to reap the benefits of it. You get to keep the car. You get to pay the taxes. You get to pay the maintenance. You get to keep up the maintenance and the life of the car to keep the car going. You got to pay the taxes on the car. Still doesn't belong to you. You can get snatched out off the side of the road and they come tow your car, impound you and the car, put you in jail and put the car in jail, seize your house, seize your bank account, put you in jail, put both of them in jail. So, so that was the process, or that's not the total and totality of the process, but that's just a brief a brief process about it. It's just a Cestui trust. The same thing that Social Security is about. The Social Security Administration is about. It is another one. Yes, they're true. That's what they are. But you can't create your own and take what belongs to someone else that you've given away. Now, there's other ways and there's other processes and there's other things you can do to separate yourself and establish yourself as God and as the individual that you are and set yourself out away from being viewed or the presumption. So that's the way they're gonna always do because we've always done that and presumed ourselves to be U.S. citizens and things of that nature. And for those that may not understand that, you have to go back and watch some of my channel to understand that I'm speaking into real facts. I'm a U.S. of A, South Carolinian, American national, indigenous to the land. Not a native, but indigenous. My bloodline comes back to the land. So, but anyway, and there's a difference between the corporate and federal citizenship that is all given voluntary. And if you look it up and Google it, it'll show you the difference between federal and state citizenship and where and how you attain it at birth. Dual citizenship. Can't be a federal U.S. citizen without being first a state citizen, which you are given at birth. And the way it's given through your parents by putting you in that system. It's not given to you by them because they don't have the power to just come in and say that's what you are. You're going to have to give them the information. Your parents or somebody, the informant is going to have to give them the information into their system to identify you as those things. And inside that system, you're going to be identified as Black, white, Asian, African American, Native American, Alaskan American, Samoan, Hawaii, and all, Puerto Rican, and all the other peninsulas that they own. So those statuses and those things will be your identity. That will be what it is. So just stay away from that TDA account and the secret. Because there ain't no damn secret. That's what it is. And so once you understand the difference between that's how they operate in the public, that you can also operate in the private because the public is only mimicking the private. There's the ways that you can set your life up and live your life to leave back behind for yours generational wealth through asset protection and the way that you do your estate planning. Um, and then you do those things while you're living. We was able to help people that was actually keep their own personal stuff that they had to leave behind for their loved ones while they was in nursing homes and dealing with Social Security and all those other things. It's all about estate planning and how you set and adjust yourself. So that's what we have too. So if you check my descriptions in YouTube, if you on TikTok or whatever, you hit me in my private comments. If I got other videos or ways of contacting us, if there's more you'd like to know about this process and different processes and what we actually have to offer, um, contact us and set up the consultations are free. If you go to, like I said, through the descriptions on YouTube and other ways I have on TikTok, and you can get in contact with us and we can talk and convene and go further with that and see the benefit and the privileges of that. But understanding those two is don't get hungry, don't get in a situation, don't get or don't allow a situation that you've already got yourself into to have you following thing that sounds good that will not bring about the results it promises. Because the people that's selling it has not done it and made it nowhere. The one that's been to jail and done it, or that was successful and went to jail, at you ain't hear shit else from them. They ain't out here with it. They learned their lesson and they sit down. Like I say, understanding those things and those principles helped me though, because in my ignorance, I learned a whole bunch of stuff and learned a whole lot of things that they are actually remedying certain ways that you can do and conduct and set up your life to be separate from government. And if you chose to deal with the government and have to use your social and use their instrument, you can use it. There's a certain way that you use it. You just keep them separated. Oil and water don't mix. But there's pros and cons to both, and there's life in both of those. So you have to be as wise as a serpent, but as gentle as a dove to understand how to get it and how to attain generational wealth. And you're not going to get it from nothing. You're going to have to create it. You're going to have to create the wealth and get the multiplication. You have to create the seed. So even in the private, that's what we're going to show you how you can recoup and bring back those things that you've already created. And in the other faction, you cannot recoup anything because you volunteer gave it away, and you now got mediators and those acting in your stead. Now you have uh, a what you call it, a guardian or someone else that's advocating and speaking and has spoken for you, and they can't hear you on the other end. You don't exist. Only as surety. And so what we're talking about that before I get off, the surety for the birth certificate or the surety for anything else that happens, the reason that matters is because when you deal with everything, everything deals with credit. Everything deals with negotiable instruments. Everything deals with notes. And so anything that you get in your all cap names and with their social security is a line of credit based off of you. So you have to understand that you are the creditor and that they're only going to get it because of you. Without you and your signature and the promise to pay back, none of that exists, no matter whatever your credit worthiness is. So you are the true creditor. You are the true secured party. You are the true party at interest. You are the true holder in due course. So, um, excuse me. You understand that the surety that comes in is that you go and they get something, they give it to you through electronically or creditly or through a check, and you go attain the asset, and you're responsible for the paying back. You are the surety for the paying back. But if it was not for the all cap name of that social, in a sense, doing that interaction, then the interaction wouldn't oh, I ain't got much battery left on TikTok. TikTok, you have to catch me on Facebook, or if my phone dies, that's what it be. I run it till I end it. But you're gonna be responsible for paying back the Federal Reserve notes for that, paying back the interest, paying back the extra amount that was created from a small amount that was created through you. So you're gonna pay back 3 to 10 to 30 times more back in interest than you actually loan or they actually got for you off of your credit. So you're the surety for it. And if anything happen, you break penal codes, you break penal laws, or you do whatever, it's your ass that's going to jail. But it's actually the paperwork that they're locking up that they have control of, but you have become surety for it and stand in this deed. So you would do the time, you will have the penalty, and you have these other things, but there's ways of separating yourself from that entity and the other. As I said before, come check us out and see how you can separate yourself and having a distinguished distinction between that capital all cap person and the lowercase uppercase real person you are. So you have to search me out, come find me out, see what we're talking about. Okay. Um, I want to thank you for coming. Thank you for joining Facebook and TikTok. Thank you for all my subscribers. If this is something a subject you'd like to talk deeper about, we can pick up later on and get deeper into different subjects and different talking about. Yeah, God, good stuff. And I understand it is true. I have some more to add, maybe to another time. Keep on keeping on. Remain private and public blessing. And that was from Revolution Man on Facebook, and it says more than that, even the 1984 Ronald Reagan Grace Commission report. Yes, and that may be something else I may pull up and we read and talk about and go through one day, bro. So thank you for that. And yes, anything, thoughts, and opinions you have, thank you for sharing and thank you for giving that. But like I just wanted to make that declaration out there to let you know that there is a distinction. There is a way to separate and handle yourself, and you learn how to govern yourself accordingly. And you let what is Caesar's, you'll render to what Caesar's his, because God don't want Caesar's, and what's God, Caesar will render back to God or leave alone. And it's all about how you structure and handle yourself and see and view yourself. So check us out. Like I said, go to my description and you'll see the Indie Circle Universe ministry in there, and in our Indie Circle ministry, if you go to the menu bar, we have our Indie Circle University, and you'll see the processes and courses we have that we offer for one-time membership, or if you want single products, the donation and the prices are there. Consultations are free for the first couple of times if this is something new or however maybe, but we got ways you can schedule consultation. We can talk more and more about the process and the things of that nature, or see where you at and where you're planning to go and how much you know and what you're planning to do. Um, I've been involved in a lot of processes and I've spent time and energy and Federal Reserve in a lot of processes. So I can tell you what will work and won't work. And in the private, I'll show you my receipts. I'm not gonna do it publicly, but I'll show you my receipts. But don't get caught up in chasing something that don't belong to you. Yes, there's money in that TDA account. Yes, can you look up the birth certificate and see how much it's worth through certain uh, sites and other things that I won't be spreading here because it does no damn good. But you can see how much it's valued. You can see every time you get a new birth certificate, how and when it stopped and how the value of the new one started, if you know the numbers to look for. But there's no good. It ain't yours. You can't do nothing with it. And if you get it, you're going to jail. But there's things, the way you can recoup that you have already given Caesar. And you can give back to God and leave for the children of God. And the grandchildren are down to the fourth and the fifth generation for them as well. So contact us at In the Circle Ministries. Go to my description and find it. Or if you're on TikTok, I'm open. My message is open. So contact me, ask for permission to contact me, and we'll go from there. I want to thank you guys for joining tonight. Thank you for the What's Up Wednesday show, and look forward to talking to everyone. Thank you, Brother Ronald. I mean, Resolution Man, for coming in and sharing tonight. I know my sister Korean's watching, and there's a couple more viewers on Facebook. I can't see. I mean, on YouTube, I can't see to show that you're present. So thank you for liking, subscribing, and coming to the channel. Thank you for commenting and sharing. Thank you most of all for being yourself and your unique self. And I will continue to do that for me. I will be my unique self. So love you guys. Thank you. And catch us next Wednesday. Get your notifications just in case I do a pop-up video or whatever, or upload or whatever. You can stay in the loop and know what's going on. or start a contact and deal with the community. Contact me through the community as well on YouTube and however you can do on TikTok. I'm very new to TikTok with this, but love you guys and thank you. You guys come back and catch us next week, and you have a great, great rest of your night.